Well, it's time for the hypocrite Olympics in Glasgow, as our beleaguered president subjects the private jet class to bouts of verbal incontinence over climate change, which is, he says, quote, an existential threat to human existence as we know it. So is listening to one of Joe Biden's do-gooder speeches. 400 private jets landed in the Scottish metropolis for some shameless virtue signaling that's as disgusting as rotten haggis, while no one bothered to tell them what a bad look all that carbon-farting aircraft is from this army of fancy lads. Hey, dirt people, give up your cars, heat sources, and steel buildings while we wait in the lounge sipping Cristal as the G6 gets gassed up. The most insufferable clown, of course, at this circus isn't President Poo Pants, but climate envoy John Kerry, whose Long Island lockjaw makes it impossible for oxygen to reach his withered Ivy League brain. Time magazine spent 8 painful months following the scold around all over the globe so they could point out his favorite chocolate shop in Geneva. And while they were servicing, oh, that's a much stronger word, this blowhard, they forgot to mention how his private jet alone created 138 metric tons of carbon in 8 months. That's 30 times more than the average American car spews in a year. It's no wonder China, Russia, and Brazil skipped the festivities, while Kerry put the jerk in circle jerk. China is too busy enslaving Uyghurs and polluting the planet to sacrifice their economy like we do here, bunch of fake green suckers. With all the drink gripping and backslapping, I'm sure no one will remind these phonies how they failed to hammer out a glimmer of a climate timeline at the G20 conference in Rome. The president's massive spending bill grows more unattractive by the day. And if it were really the earth-saving magic bullet he claimed, other countries would pony up hundreds of billions in FOMO cash. But instead, they're secretly shaking their heads at the foolish move to overtax and overregulate an already fragile economy that will bring down the global Hindenburg with it. If these elitists were as smart as they are narcissistic, they would all move all their countries out of the way so the private sector could compete for planet-saving innovations and deliver them faster and more efficiently than poop through a golden goose. Mark my words, the private space race will do more to save the planet than these hoity-toity hypocrites could ever achieve on the cocktail circuit. Shut your pie holes, do your dumb conferences on Zoom so it at least seems like you're climate serious, and get out of the way so the tinkerers and visionaries can save this planet from her dear leaders once and for all. And that's the memo. President Biden says climate change will be the greatest threat to U.S. security in years to come, but apparently it also puts people to sleep. In fact, the president himself appeared to doze off during the opening speeches at the Glasgow conference. Poor Sleepy Joe needed a little bit of a nap. And aide eventually hurried over and delivered him a message. Hey, Mr. President, wake up. If climate change policy puts Biden to sleep, what hope did the rest of us have? The party panel is back. Stephen L. Miller, Chris Hahn, and Olivia Rondo. Stephen, I will start with you. Is it a good look for Joe Biden to fall asleep at a conference that he's pretty much hosting?
I think it's the most relatable he's ever been, if I'm being honest. I mean, who's not going to fall asleep during something like that? His motorcade, which there was a video clip on Twitter which ran repeated SUVs and buses and vans and everything, probably put more carbon into the air than a family of 4 with one SUV did in an entire month. Yep. And this is where these guys have the climate debate backwards. Is they demand we change, they demand eat less meat, use less fuel, you don't need that second car, you don't need this stuff. But then you have these guys who can't, like you mentioned, stay home and do this via Zoom, like every working professional just did for the last year, which was a private innovation, by the way.
Which I'd invested.
Maybe people will start, maybe more people will start believing that we're in the end times of Earth's climate, like the truant, scoldy Swedish teen tells us we are, when these people start behaving like we're actually in an alarm, emergency situation. None of these guys act like it. This is like the 26th year in a row where they've come and done this.
What are you? I run around the house turning off the lights. By the way, where's
20,000 attendees.
Where's the jet, Teresa? Oh, all of them. I'll take them. So Chris, all these governments are essentially going to fail because the ones who are the biggest polluters, including China and India, they're not part of this discussion.
Yeah, that's a problem. It can't be a unilateral decision by the United States and some of their allies. It's got to get everybody involved, right? And I agree. I think there could be some private innovation here as well. I'm a big believer in public-private partnerships. We should put together some guidelines and guardrails and let the public sector have at it and try to fix it together. But yeah, you got to bring everybody to the table to try to fix this problem because it is a problem. And, we can joke about it all we want, but we all agree it's a problem.
My problem, though, Olivia, is that this is a recipe for cronyism. Because, you're going to have these massive companies getting these massive tax breaks and, $100 billion is going to go to finding the next Solyndra, and the federal government's going to be picking winners and losers. And with that, when you've got big companies and big government in bed together, it's the taxpayers who lose.
Absolutely. It's totally a front for cronyism. I don't think that the government is super set on just saying, hey, we're going to reward people who listen to us and give tax breaks to people and penalize people who don't. I don't think they want to give tax breaks to anybody. And even if they do, let's say that we do have a public and private sector companionship or partnership to tackle this global crisis, I think that, again, it's going to be cronyism. I think we're going to see the government handing out contracts to their buddies and their friends and their stepdog's sister's half uncle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And again, we're not looking at India and China. It's a huge problem. America is not the top polluter of the world. And we're also not even addressing renewable energy. We're not talking about nuclear energy enough. And it's something that the private market, the private companies, the private sector can actually solve, given that there's less regulations on them.
That's what I don't understand. Like, if you really want to find something that's clean and abundant and pretty cheap where you get the most bang for your buck, we're not talking about new sources of nuclear energy. And that is shocking to me. I mean, that is an incredible disservice to humanity and to the earth. Let alone incredibly naive, thinking that we're going to solve all of this through wind and solar. Those are nice, but considering what we need, not necessarily practical. Well, speaking of space, and I'm glad we are, did the head of NASA just confirm that UFOs could be alien craft? Bill Nelson, speaking at the University of Virginia, and said, quote, I know what you've seen is what those Navy pilots saw in 2004, and there have been some 300 sightings since then. I've talked to those pilots, and they know they saw something, and we don't know what it is. We hope it is not an adversary here on Earth that has that kind of technology, but it's something. So it's not just your drunk uncle who thinks that grainy footage of dots in the sky could be an alien sighting. It's the head of NASA. But if aliens are here, why haven't they told us? Are they just softening us up, Stephen? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, we're kind of in the going on a year of, some pretty high up folks going essentially, yeah, the aliens exist. And it's just kind of something that's buried like on the fifth, column of any news website. I think if these aliens really want us to start paying attention to them, they need to come off their aircraft and just scream, let's go, Brandon. And the entire media complex will suddenly drop what they're doing and go pay attention to them.
Oh, I wish they would. That'd be fun.
Hire them at Southwest.
So obviously,
they need the pilots, apparently.
We all do. 2,000 American Airlines flights canceled over the weekend. Brandon nowhere to be seen. He was just sleeping away. Whoever this Brandon is, I believe he's a race car driver. So, Chris, I believe that the universe is vast, and there are other civilizations elsewhere. Maybe they've gotten to us, and if they have, that means they have an incredible energy source. So why don't we just use that to solve the climate crisis?
I mean, it would be great, wouldn't it? I'm worried, though, that we're going to find. I'm worried that we're going to find a civilization somewhere in the universe, and they're going to be far inferior to ours, and we're going to learn nothing from them, and we're going to waste billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, trying to find them. So I don't know if aliens are here or not. I don't think they are. I think they'd be coming on your show right now, trying to talk to America, talk to the world. But, if they're here, that's great. If not, I don't know. But if they have something to give us, we should take it.
Olivia, I believe they're here. I don't mind them. I think that Demi Lovato is right to say stop using the term alien because it's a rude pejorative.
You know, Demi Lovato seems to, be struggling with a lot of things lately, so I'll just leave that be. However, I do think that there's aliens already on this earth. Are you telling me that you're going to look at Hillary Clinton and all these lizard people and tell me that they're from this planet? I don't think so. I don't want to be from the same planet as Hillary Clinton. I don't want to.
Told you, Chris. Yeah, Democrats.
There's a
live,
like the
forum
man.
in Glasgow right now.
Same
We know
part
that.
of the country as Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, that could be. Well, who knows what's going to happen? Bill Nelson knows something. That's all I'm going to say, because they stonewalled for years. Now all of a sudden, John Ratcliffe and John Brennan, former DNI, former CIA director, like, oh yeah, something that's pretty real. So there's going to be a big announcement. They're just like slowly massaging us like Kobe beef. Hopefully, we will not be food for other civilizations. I don't think so. I think they could have eaten us already. Party panel.
It'd be
Scary. Right.
I mean, would it though? Wouldn't you like to be an alien appetizer? I think there's something about that that's quite attractive and alluring. Call me Army Hammer's date. All right. Thank you, party panel.
You
Stephen.
first.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Stephen, Chris, and Olivia. Si se puede. Coming up, President Biden. Look at those choppers, though. He totally could bite. He has claimed he doesn't pay attention to the polls. A shocking new poll shows Americans think that he's very slow and the country's on the wrong track. Real Clear Politics executive editor Tom Bevan breaks it down with me in moments.